On behalf of Frank Walls, myself, J Rock, and the rest of the Distorted Realities team, we would like to say thank you to all the subscribers on TikTok and YouTube for meeting the goal of 100 subs. We appreciate your participation and interest in the channel, and we will continue to work hard to provide even much more better content each time. So once again, thank you. You're all awesome.
Welcome to Distorted Realities. Here are your hosts, J Rock and Frank Walls.
Welcome to Distorted Realities. My name is J Rock, and alongside me is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Frank Walls.
What up, guys? How you guys doing today? This is our episode 11. That's how far we have gone. And we also have, we're celebrating today because we have 100 subscribers. We reached that limit,
right.
you know?
So, yeah.
And today we're going to have a very interesting episode. I hope you guys like it. And always rocking with J-Rock.
Yeah, all the time. So, Mr. Frank,
Yes, sir.
busy week?
Very busy, very busy.
Very busy, as usual. But fun things. Always fun, always exciting. A lot of research, a lot of, socializing and social networking and all that jazz. What I first want to say is thank you so much. We passed the 100 subscriber mark on YouTube. We passed the 100 subscriber mark on TikTok. We're on our way through Instagram. So that was one of the goals we set, that through the course of the 12 episodes, we would gain subscribership, and not just viewership, but subscribers, right? Because we want to make sure that we have a following and then people enjoy the content and they're just not skimming through it, right?
Exactly.
And that's the testament of people getting on these calls, watching the videos, giving us feedback. We're very responsive, right? But yeah, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You're awesome. And for me, it's a reflection of how it started, right? It was just a thought, a brief discussion, right?
Exactly.
And it turned out to be what it is now, and it's ever evolving and changing, and it's fun, right? That's the
big
key.
project, a big
right?
project.
A big project that's fun.
Yeah.
So thank you. You guys are amazing.
Appreciate it, guys. From the bottom of our hearts, we really thank you, guys.
So on to news. Let's start there, right? So for those of you who don't know us, we are Frank Walls and J Rock, right? We are Distorted Realities. Quick disclaimer. A lot of the stuff that we do is for entertainment purposes only. We gather information from the interwebs and all other sources, and we present them as is. They're not ours to begin with. We do create our own iterations of the content based on what we feel is the appropriate view.
Yeah.
And outside of that, use your own judgment, use your own decision. We do not tell anybody what to do.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing, is the disclaimer. We're not necessarily advocating for any one thing. This is just stuff that piques our interest, and we want to share with you, the audience, because you're amazing people.
Exactly.
All right. Number two, let's talk about Printify, right? The Printify store is there, and it's https://distorted-realities-shop.printify.me/products. And you'll see the typical shirts and cups and a whole bunch of cool stuff. Feel free to shop if you like the content, the merchandise that we have in place. We do add stuff every other week. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Printify.
If you want a t-shirt of your favorite cryptid, like the chupacabra,
Or Algoralics, as you can see.
There you go.
So with that, I do want to segue into the Printify stuff. We had made some orders this week for our viewers that participated. Printify is a little slow at some occasions, right? Those stuff are on their way to me. I will, the intern, express ship it to you guys as promised. And I already have most of the stuff jotted down and placed. There are no back orders. It's just holdups, delays.
Gotcha.
All right. With that, I want to talk about the fan of the week.
Who's the fan of the week today?
The fan of the week is a man of many talents.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
this guy, genius.
They call him the legend.
He's more than legendary.
Wow.
He's more than that. Why? Because he's always brainstorming, coming up with cool ideas, cool concept. He's also the person responsible for Baucus and Hef.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to introduce the fan of the week, and his name is Hector Mejia, and he is
Wow.
the fan of the week. Thank you so much,
Shout out,
Hector, for
Hector.
all your love and support, for always being a positive role model, and for giving us, the ideas and the criticism, right? Constructive criticism
I
that we
see
need.
he has a Chupacabra shirt.
Yeah, I mean, that's what fans are, bro. They support. They don't support the product. They support the whole idea, right? The
Nice.
product is just the imagery behind it. So
Nice.
yeah, we can have fan of the week. So there are situations where people can't get the merch for whatever reason. You send us a pictures of yourself. We'll make you a fan of the week. Why? Because it doesn't matter if you have the merch or not. That's just a little extra. Doesn't mean anything by the standards of being a fan, right?
Exactly.
Although it does helps us with production value and AI stuff, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you, Hector. You're amazing. You're awesome, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
So I do have another interesting person that I ran into on YouTube. Right,
Nice.
this is a young man, and let me just make sure. Is anybody on the chat?
Let me see. We got Jacob Castro. He says, "Congrat 100." Woo. We got Corrales Otero. Oh, congratulations, guys. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Corrales. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Kid
We really
Dan.
appreciate
We
Kid
got
Dan. Hey, Kid Dan, how are
100.
you?
Yeah. Thank
So,
you,
so we have a young man. His name is Michael Martinez.
Michael.
Right? Longtime friend of mine's from junior high school. I kind of gave her the information for the website, for the channel, and all that. And then she sent me information about her son. Her son is a talent, right? And when I said talent, he's doing mystery thriller psychological stuff.
Nice.
So he has a channel, and it's right up there on the screen. It's Michael Martinez. He's located on youtube.com at Dark Corner Pictures 3404.
Nice.
Again, Dark Corner Pictures 3404. So he has this he has 2 videos up right now, but he's uploading more content. And one of them is called The Writer's Room.
Interesting.
And it's really good. I actually saw it. I was super impressed. And this is what I like, that we can, encourage people to look at these unknown, undiscovered talents that have a lot of potential and that are doing things that a lot of people aren't, right? So Michael Martinez, kudos to you. I'm definitely,
Shout out.
as you can see, we are subscribed. Distorted Realities is a fan of what you're doing, and we're going to continue to watch and support you in your endeavors, and can't wait to see more.
Good.
All right, so we covered just about everything with the exception of one thing. All right, so before we continue, your stories matter. They matter a great deal to us because this was kind of like the catalyst for the show. How do we create something
Mm-hmm.
that we can share interest and share stories and try to create recreate these things through a visual perspective, and not only that, have people call in and be confident and feel safe in having these kind of discussions. So if you have a story you want to tell, you're interested in us recreating or reenacting your story through the power of AI, we can, if you're willing to send us an email at contact@thedistortedrealities.com. Again, contact at thedistortedrealities.com. All right.
We got another person in the chat, Yvette. Congratulations, 100 guys. More to come. Thank you, Yvette.
Yeah, the love and support is crazy.
Yeah, that's really good.
I was a little bit emotional
Yeah.
when we got to that point because, you and I are avid YouTube watchers,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't get to that point, right? And they've been for years
Yeah.
trying to get there. And the fact that we have the kind of support we have by our friends, family, loved ones, even unknown people,
Exactly.
right? From all parts of the world, it's crazy. And We really appreciate that.
I'm still in shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. So that means that we're doing something right.
yeah.
We're doing something that people find entertaining. They see value in it. And yeah, I think it's awesome.
Let me say some stuff in Spanish. That
Yes,
way.
sir.
Queremos darle las gracias a todas las personas que nos han apoyado en el proyecto del canal. Ya pasamos la meta de los 100 suscriptores. De verdad que le agradecemos del corazón tanto Frank Wall como J-Rock. Y de verdad que, pues, acuérdense que aquí pueden compartir sus experiencias sobrenaturales o cosas raras que le hayan pasado. Ese es el propósito del programa, de que usted se sienta cómodo llamando o enviando a nuestro email que está ahí en la pantalla para cualquier historia que quieran que hablemos de ella, pues en confianza pueden dejarnos saber a través del email. ¿Ok? Y muchas gracias.
Gracias. All right. So we did the contact us and we did our thank you segment. And now we're going to make sure that the phone lines are open. If you are interested in calling and telling us something, that sounds hotline voice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're interested in calling and telling us your story, call us at 904-803-7327.
Wow.
That's impressive, isn't it?
That was like a commercial right there.
Right, right. I was going to go with the deeper voice, like the one for the
you
intro.
don't need it. You don't need it.
But I think that sounded more smooth.
Yeah.
So what do the people in the chat think? So, moving forward, why don't you segue us, Frank, into the cryptid segment? Oh, well, before you do that, why don't you tell them they can call?
Oh, yeah. And let me see this in Spanish, guys, for our Spanish speaker in South America, Puerto Rico, all the Caribbean, and also here in U.S. We got some people don't speak English, but they live here. We're going to talk in Spanish for you guys, okay? So, nos pueden llamar al 1904 o 803-7327.
Use the voice.
Recuerden que pueden llamar al 904-803-7327 y puede contar su historia para nosotros decirla en el programa, o puede llamar y estaría en vivo al aire en vivo, y nos cuenta su historia sobre cualquier situación either alienígena o paranormal. Estamos aquí para eso, ¿ok?
That was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we're on our way. Watch out, Jorge Ramos. Oh, that's right. He retired.
He retired. You know why he retired? He knew I was coming.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. So with that being said, segue us into the cryptid section.
Let's go, guys. Let's hit the cryptid section. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, look.
All right. Who's on?
Aida Otero says, felicitaciones por su 100. Janet, felicitaciones por congratulations for 100. And Coralie Otero says, sounds like emergency hotline voice.
Oh, wait. There's one more thing I forgot to showcase, being that Ida Otero's on the phone. Well, on the chat. So let's go back to our group setting here. We forgot to mention that episode 12 is going to be a little different. So because it's our final episode of the season and we promised you a lot of storytelling pieces, we have short stories that we created. These short stories are anything between 3 and 5 minutes long. One of them, it's a little bit longer. And for those of you who are a fan of that specific section, bear with us for another week. We promise we'll deliver on it. But we're going to do the best of season 1, right? Which is going to be the best cryptids and the best aliens we thought were throughout episodes 1 through 12. We're going to talk about the best paranormal video we saw.
Gotcha. The
and
best
then
scripted, the best aliens.
And the best ghost story.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll talk about the creepy stuff a little bit. I'm thinking that we should do a separate creepy stuff and make it more of the attention getter.
Gotcha.
But they are going to be about 4 short stories in between all of that. So why don't we show you 3 of them?
Okay.
And consider this like a preview of what you're going to see next week.
Let's watch, guys.
All right.
Hit it.
right. So that was our trailers for next week.
Interesting.
And there is two other ones that we're trying to see if we can fit it in, which is fantasy based. Um, one of them is a fantasy based one. The other one is a little more science fiction. Uh, and again, it's sticking to the idea there's something for everyone here. And I think Michael Martinez is a good inspiration, right? Because like maybe we do a little mystery
Mm-hmm.
type deal. Maybe that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the trailers. Let's go back to our cryptid segment, and let's start off with the
The-
white screen. Wait.
Get the white screamer.
All right. So the white screamer. This one is so the way we did these this time around is because a lot of callers joined in on the conversation of the paranormal, ghost stories and stuff like that, and we figured why don't we create something that falls in line with it, right? And that people could get in and have a discussion piece about it. Even if the question is asked, like, where do you get this stuff? Like, you could always reach out and call and we'll talk about it, right? Because there's a lot of ways to get information outside of the dark web, just to make sure that people don't go that route. So the White Screamer, all right, location White Bluff, Tennessee. So White Bluff, it's a bluff is like a specific form or shape within a piece of landmass, but this is in the woods of Tennessee.
Gotcha.
They just call it White Bluff, and that so happens to be a cryptid, but it's considered more of an apparition, right? The problem is people have in the lore behind it, people end up getting hacked to death.
Mm.
Hacked to death means they get chopped up into little pieces, and
Wow.
right. So
That's in
it's
White Bluff.
consi-
In White Bluff.
in White Bluff is extremely quiet, right? And you know how El Silbón has a whistle?
Mm-hmm.
This one has a scream,
Wow.
but when it gets closer, it does this thing called a shrill. It's like a weird sound. It almost sounds like a scream, but it isn't. It sounds like just like this extended sound. But yeah, this one was pretty cool. As far as AI goes and AI creation, it was fun to work with. Do I believe it?
Is that the first cryptid we got from
Tennessee,
Tennessee?
yes, it is.
I thought they only make tennis in Tennessee
No, they make Tennessee whiskey.
because Tennessee.
Yeah, it's possible. But the White Screamer. What are your thoughts?
Wow. I got some stuff here. You want me to read it?
Why not? Go for it.
Okay. It says, wow. There's a natural hollow in White Bluff, right? Skirted by forest and deep Tennessee beauty. And back in the 1920s, a young family built their home on that land. The newcomers consisted of father and mother as well as 7 little ones. It was the perfect family and the perfect spot for beginner family. You know. Also, they thought finally, as the story goes, the young man became enraged with their violent night antics and took his gun into the woods in the middle of the night, yelling for and seeking his strange screaming creature. As he rounded the property, he realized the sound was becoming louder, more shrill, more clear. It was a scream at all. His family had been hacked to pieces.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so here's the thing. There's another story that goes into this. You want to check the chat for a second. The other story that's tied into this has to do with a murder that took place.
A murder?
Yeah, murder. So they you know how sometimes they create a legend
Yeah.
to hide the truth. This is what the screamer really is.
Okay.
But that's just my 2 cents.
That's your thought. Like that's what you think about.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those situations, right? Who else we got on the line?
We're good.
Okay, good. So yeah, so I think that the White Screamer is, as far as a paranormal entity, I like that. As far as defining it as a cryptid,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But why don't you explain this to the masses in Spanish?
Yeah. That will be descripted. Okay. Esta leyenda se origina en Tennessee, en el estado de Tennessee, acá en Estados Unidos. Sería traducido al español el, el grito blanco o el que grita blanco, no sé cómo han traducido. Como un fantasma que grita. Un fantasma que grita. Entonces, este fantasma, aparentemente, en 1920 se le apareció una familia y en el bosque. Supuestamente este es el lugar de White Bluff en Tennessee. Es como un área boscosa. Y se mudó una familia para allá en el 1920 para construir su casa y una familia, formaron una familia muy bonita. Y de momento, pues, vino el papá escuchó como unos ruidos extraños afuera y salió con su pistola. Y de ahí, pues, la familia la encontraron despedazada en Cantito.
That's right.
Y de ahí viene la historia del White Screamer. Aparentemente en esa área han encontrado muchas personas desmembradas y se le acusa al White Screamer, el culpable de esa situación, de esa entidad o fantasma.
Good. So yeah. So, do you believe that this is a real entity or not? I'm on the fence.
You're defensive.
I'm on the fence.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure where to put this in. A ghost, I like that. A
Okay.
cryptid, I don't know.
You think it's a ghost?
Maybe there's some kind of, you know how there's areas in the world that are like vortexes and
Mm-hmm.
you know energy. This could be at a location where a murder took place, but there was paranormal activity.
Like the
Think about the Amityville.
Skinwalker Ranch?
No, Amityville. It's more like
Yeah,
Amityville.
Amityville.
So like you saw that the family, the DeFeo family, Joseph DeFeo,
Yeah.
killed his family, right? Or attempted to. I don't remember what the whole story was, but he attempted to, and it was due to paranormal stuff.
Yes, yeah.
That's what this feels like in the wooded Tennessee setting. So
White Bluff. Tennessee.
right.
I mean, it could be they're using a cover up for a murder, but if they have found more people, right? Could be somebody doing it. I mean, I don't think ghosts can kill people, right?
Yes, they can.
They can.
Yeah. Out of pure fear. It's called a heart attack.
Well, I
So-
think they can make you out of about your reaction of being afraid. You can make something stupid like fall, get a heart attack.
Right. So
That maybe, but like,
not literally hack you to pieces.
Yeah,
That's
that-
the problem I
that's
have.
more
with
like
it.
a cryptid. Cryptid maybe can do that, like
Yeah,
a chupacabra.
yeah,
a
Bigfoot or something.
something
right?
like that, like a
But
beast. Yeah.
again, there's legends and lores on ghosts being able to manipulate things, right?
Yeah, like moving stuff.
I just don't know. Like, this is too intense. It feels like hacking feels more like a physical thing.
I got Kid Dan over here says, "Is that a Karen?" LOL. I got nothing but greatness. So shout out to nothing but greatness.
Yeah, shout out.
gang. Congrats on your 100 subscribers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
So yeah, so
I mean, it's weird. It could be a beast that is running. Maybe he's not a ghost. Maybe he's a cryptid.
oh, so you think it's like no, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It has to be a ghost, unless it's a cryptid similar to a skinwalker and it
Mhm.
just looks ghostly. That's the only
Let
way.
me see if I can find something more. There is no definitive physical form to this cryptid, but some say it looks kind of like
A
the
rake, which
Oh,
is ghostly. It's-
Gotcha. With a vertical, oblong head and massive mouth. Some say it is more of an apparition than physical being.
there you go.
Wow.
When you know, you know. How you say that in Spanish?
Cuando tú sabes, mijo.
El que sabe, sabe.
El que sabe, sabe.
But yeah, so yeah, all in all, it's a great ghost. I don't know if it's a great cryptid. That's where my stance is.
Why we don't let the people to decide?
So in the chat, if you guys will, Let us know what you think it is. I think it's personally a ghost. And for those of you who want to call in, just call in. But it would be interesting to see what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
We're
should
gonna
go.
need to put like a that song.
You have one, right? You know.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, let's see what the sound. That's what the white screamer is.
Wow. That was... There you go. That's the screen right there.
It's possible. It's possible. All right. So while this is happening, we're gonna move forward and look at the video, and then we'll check back with them and see if they put something.
He done says it's a ghost. Okay.
See, I know Kid Dan was on J Rock's side all the time.
There you go.
Support, love, and support. All right. So with that, let's watch the White Screamer. Wait. Go ahead, take over.
Let's watch the White Screamer.
Alrighty.
The White Screamer. Hidden in the beautiful natural hollows inside the forest of White Bluff, Tennessee, lies a cryptid of paranormal proportions. Not much is known of this elusive cryptid, but it has been described as a ghostly or rake-like creature with a large open mouth. Rumor has it that it has a loud shrill when approaching its victims. Stories have been said the White Screamer chases its victims until they are exhausted and hacks them to death. The reason for this cryptid's behavior are unknown. All that is known is that this cryptid is extremely violent and that it is advised to roam the wooded areas of White Bluff during the daytime. Whatever you do, be sure to leave the woods of White Bluff at night, or the White Screamer might cut you down to size.
All right, that was the White Screamer. What do you think?
That's a very, very interesting video. I mean, those AI stuff are getting way, way better.
You know, it's practice makes perfect.
No. I think we're almost like Hollywood level already.
You think so? You think we'll get a star on the floor one day?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so.
I got a comment here from Corrales Otero. It says, I think it's a ghost that may had a horrible life and now it's cursing others. Or it cursed others. Wow.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Wow. I was so like
Mind blown.
mind blowing.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to the next cryptid.
The next cryptid is the lechuza.
The lechuga.
A lechuga.
The lechuza, right? So this one is a very interesting one because it's from Texas, from Mexico, but it kind of migrated off to Texas, which is
Gotcha.
very interesting.
But I think that even though it's native from over there, but I think they're all over. Like,
You have information on it?
no, I'm saying because it's kind of it resembles a little bit of what we talked in the past episode about
The witches.
The witches.
Yeah, so this is a unique witch, folks. It's a witch that can shapeshift into an owl, specifically an owl. Sometimes a brown owl or a white owl. The legend behind this is that this witch made a pact with the devil
Ooh.
in exchange for its soul to obtain powers of a witch, right, or a mage. In return, it must feed on humans.
Wow.
That's kind of like the segue behind it. I like this one.
You know why I'm not happy with this one because it reminded me. Remember He-Man,
Right.
the sorcerer,
Oh, snap.
and now we're gonna see the sorcerer different.
He was a lechuga. I mean, he was a lechuza.
Right? It was something, and she was like a half bird, and she was a sorcerer, but she was good. She was
But-
good.
But
This
you,
one are evil.
so this goes into what I was saying. these legends are older than us.
Exactly.
So who's to say that whoever was creating He-Man didn't get the idea
Yeah.
from that legend, right? Like that's the thing. These
Yes.
legends are way longer than us,
Way,
or
way.
even like 1970s, 60s folks. So they might have gotten that, and that became the inspiration for the character in He-Man. Because what is he?
Mm-hmm.
He's a sorcerer,
It's a sorcerer.
right?
Yeah.
So
From the Castle of Grayskull.
yeah, I have the power.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, I like this one,
Oh
and
my God,
and I
yeah.
liked it because it's another variant of the witch, right?
Mhm.
We always hear about witches, um, flying on brooms and that stupid laugh that they got.
These one are an upgrade of a witch.
No,
Because
this
they don't
is
need the broom.
they don't need a broom; they fly.
There you
They're
go.
owls. Um, what I like about it also is that it takes the form of an owl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And owl is synonymous a lot with animal spirits, different cultural lores, um, and it needs to feed, but it's not feeding as in drinking blood. It's feeding as in it has to kill.
Wow.
It,
Kill,
ha-
like,
it has
kill,
to.
kill.
Yeah, it has to.
Wow.
But why don't you read it and then jump into the Spanish piece of
Yeah.
it?
It says lechuza. Lechuzas are either shape-shifting witches or spirits in Hispanic folklore. Tales of lechuza are quite popular in Mexico and Texas. Appearance: a human-sized bird with woman face. Lechuza are women who have sold their soul to the devil in exchange for magical powers. At night, they transform into monsters with a bird body and a woman's face, similar to depiction of harpies in Greek mythology. Oh,
Oh, see that?
wow. They then fly through the night in search of a prey. When a lechuza finds her target, she will perch in a location where she can easily be seen and then will make either strange whistle or the sound of an infant crying. Wow. Anyone who attempts to determine where the sound is coming from is at risk of becoming a lechuza dinner. Wow. Lechuza will then swoop down and carry off the confused and horrified individual. In some version of the story, the lechuza is the spirit of a witch who was murdered by locals. Her spirit returned into the form of a bird monster to get revenge. In other tales, the lechuza is the vengeful spirit of a woman who has returned from the grave to torment their living and to seek revenge. Wow.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
It says, as a witch, lechuza possess supernatural power. One of the powers of lechuza is to summon storms. Sighting of lechuza are believed to coincide with thunderstorms. Lechuza, lechuza possess the power to shapeshift into a bird monster at night. Lechuza also possess the ability to disguise their voices to appear as their cry of an infant. We said that
You know what the lechuza says after?
What?
The tomate.
That's a good one. That's a good
So,
one.
so why don't you tell the folks in Spanish so they can look?
I'm gonna
look
try
this
to
up
do my
later on.
best here. I read a lot. Let me see.
No, just give them
Yeah, yeah.
a abbreviated form.
Okay, guys. En español, para que mi gente allá entienda todo, ¿verdad? La lechuza se cree que son brujas que tienen la habilidad de convertirse en lechuza para atormentar víctimas y se las comen, lamentablemente. Se cree que son espíritus, either shape-shifting witches or spirits, que son espíritus malos o brujas que se transforman en lechuza en la noche para devorar humanos. Y se ve mucho en Texas, en México, y también dice que pueden ser espíritus de personas que murieron y se convierten en lechuza para atormentar a otras personas. Y que hacen el sonido como de un bebé llorando. Y cuando la persona se va a buscar el sonido, ahí que los ataca. Muy, muy interesante.
So believable or not?
I mean, I've seen lechuzas flying at night, and it's scary. It's scary. They're really big. They have a big wingspan. I saw that in Puerto Rico.
So when you say a lechuza, you're talking about the witch, or you seen an owl flying?
No, no, the lechuza is like a white owl.
Okay, so you've seen a white owl.
Yeah.
So when we say lechuza, we gotta be careful because we're talking about lechuza the cryptid, not lechuza the owl.
Oh no, no, I saw the bird at
Okay.
night flying, a white bird. But it's scary because at night you don't seeing a white bird with a huge wingspan flying at night.
Are you
It's
lucky?
scary.
Because I was about to go to the other section so we could hear your story.
No, no, no. It was just a bird. I think it could be maybe it was a witch and it was going after somebody. Not me.
So it's just to tell you real quick, it freaked me out because yesterday I was out front of the house, and as I was walking towards the middle of the night, I saw something fly. And it just so happens that we do have a neighborhood owl that shows up, and it's on top of the light post, and it's there because it's waiting for some kind of critter it can go and get. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about this cryptid, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going inside.
How are you sure that that is not a
because
witch?
the witch is described as a 7 foot tall bird. That bird was not 7 foot tall.
Gotcha.
You know, it was probably at most 1.5 foot. Wasn't that big?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
It was a night.
Yeah, it was.
A night.
You gotta be careful. So yeah, so I liked it. I think it's the given the whole concept of skinwalkers and witches making pacts. This is very believable in the realm of witches and spirituality. So I kind of do believe this kind of tale, and it falls in line with the cryptid because its capabilities, not because of what it is. I don't think witches are cryptids. I think they fall more into what we call the occult bucket, right?
Occult, yeah.
However, because of what it can do,
Mm-hmm.
I like it as a cryptid. I think it's great, and it's a scary thought that you're in your room one day and you leave your window open and a 7 foot tall bird creeps. So that's what I think.
Wow.
What do we got?
We got Eve Morales. Congratulations. Thank you, Eve. Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. So yeah, very believable.
Very, very interesting and it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah. So without further ado,
Let's watch the lechuza.
my turn.
The Lechuza. The Lechuza, seen throughout the towns and villages of Mexico and Texas, lies a cryptid described as a witch that can shapeshift into an owl. She is sometimes depicted as a stunning lady, but when transformed, she turns into a 7-foot barn or a white owl. Legend has it the Lechuza sold her soul to the devil in exchange for magical power. In return, she must feed in the victim she lures using her heartbeat-like sounds. Do not follow the sounds if you are alone in the woods of Mexico or Texas, or you may become the Lechuza's next meal.
That's it for cryptids.
Wow.
That's it for this season for cryptids.
Really?
Tears. But any one of these could fall into the top 10, right? We might have to do polls and send it to all the folks.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let them pick. Fans get to pick
Yeah.
the favorites, and then we could just replay the video at the show on the 12th. So we'll make sure that we run a poll tonight
We should
and
do
run it
that.
for at least 3 days. So yeah, I liked it, but overall, I think this season we had a lot of great cryptids.
Definitely. And from all over the world.
I agree.
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh. They're coming for you, J-Rock.
They already got me.
Really?
Yeah. A couple of times.
Hello? Mr. J-Rock? Are you here? We are the aliens from Mars.
I think this is my favorite segment, so I'm going to take the lead on this one.
Go ahead, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going in search of aliens.
All right. In search of aliens.
What we have for today?
We have the first, the dries.
Los secos.
I knew you was gonna come up with something. Well, that's what the book names them as. It names them as the dries.
They don't drink water.
Well, this particular species is from the constellation Cetus, which is the opposite of dry. They're known to have abduct 520 humans, right? They have 2 home planets. They've colonized 10 or more, or 40 or more. And this species does not have any association with any other species. It doesn't like to talk to them.
Also, they're no part of the Council of Five
We don't know that.
or the Mitra.
We don't know that. But they refuse to talk to any one of them. They're probably like the Lone Ranger in the whole thing, right?
Nice.
And like, you know what? Forget this war.
I kind of like them.
You know how you say in Spanish? You wait by me.
Yeah,
That's
we
them.
into this.
So I like this alien species. Why don't you segue it and go over the findings on the book?
This is what we gotta have here. Some of the stuff that you said already, but I'm gonna read it real fast. It says the dries. Their height is around 2.5 meters. They have a very complex structure of their skull. Visited Earth at least 20 times. They carry out human abductions with which they use for human reproduction. Oh wow! So they're kind of like hybrids, right?
No, so
Inbreed.
so what's happening is that when you colonize a planet, right,
Mhm.
you can either use human reproduction for a form of enslavement in other
Gotcha.
planets,
Okay.
right? So that's what I think. I
Gotcha.
interpreted that way.
Mhm.
So
They have abducted at least 520 humans, males and females. They come from the third star in constellation Cetus. They have 2 home planets and have colonized at least 40 planets with the help of slaves.
so you see how they say slaves in quotations?
Yeah. 10 of those planets were taken with the use of force. Wow. So they're ready.
They're tough.
They work together with 3 other races. They mostly eat animal protein, derivative products. According to alien reports, they are not mentally or spiritually prepared to interact with most other races.
Because it looks at them as food.
Wow. Their 2 home planets' chemical composition is similar to Earth. They are supposed to reveal themselves to humans in an open manner in 2022.
Interesting.
Wow.
So what do you think?
Wow. My personal thought is that that's like a tough race. They're really tough. I mean,
Why don't we say that in
yeah.
Telemundo?
Ocurrió así de noche. Nos encontramos aquí hablando de la raza Dries alienígenas, la cual su estatura es de unos 2.5 metros, 8 pies, ¿no? They have tienen una complejidad de su estructura en su cráneo muy rara. Han visitado la Tierra más de 20 veces. Ellos secuestran humanos para reproducirlo. Han secuestrado más de 520 humanos, entre ellos femenino y masculino. Vienen de la tercera constelación estrella Cetus. Tienen 2 planetas hogares Han colonizado más de 40 planetas con ayuda de esclavos. 10 de esos planetas ellos lo tomaron a fuerza, o sea, con guerra, violencia. Trabajan en conjunto con 3 otras razas. Mayormente ellos comen proteína animal derivada de diferentes productos. Eh, de acuerdo con reportes alienígenas, ellos todavía no están mentalmente ni espiritualmente preparados para interactuar con otras razas alienígenas o otras especies. Eh, los 2 planetas que ellos son dueños, donde ellos viven, la composición es similar a la del planeta Tierra. Y se supone que se revelarían a la humanidad en el 2022. Si pasó o no pasó, quizás se revelaron a las altas de estos del gobierno, ¿verdad?
A la gente de alta sociedad.
El deep state, you know? O allá el gobierno y nosotros no sabemos nada, pero aparentemente el gobierno, según por lo que hemos visto aquí, el gobierno sabe de todas estas razas y ha tenido en algún momento algún tipo de comunicación con esas especies alienígenas que han visitado la Tierra, de
Right.
acuerdo a este libro que tenemos aquí.
There you have it, folks. You heard it
Wow.
from the man, Frank Walls.
Thank you, guys.
So I like this one. I like that it's not relying on any group. It's holding its own and saying, "Hey, look, we got this. Let's just go and do our business and forget about everything else because everything else is just noise."
Pero they have two other races, right?
Yeah, but these races are inferior.
Oh, okay. So they probably
They control
enslave them,
them.
control them. You know what I mean?
Remember the quotes?
Mhm.
Slaves.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Wow.
all in all, I think it's a great alien species. I think it's worth definitely talking about. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Something I know about them, they're not vegan.
No, they're not.
They're not vegan.
No, they're like meat.
Yeah. Protein.
So if they ever show up to your house, just open up a can of Spam, and I think you should be good.
I like Spam.
Spam is great.
You know, have you ever eaten the Spanish version of Spam?
What is it called?
Tulip. Yeah. You have to try it. It tastes better. It tastes better.
I'm gonna check it out. All right. So with that, let's see if there's anybody on the chat that has any questions.
Let me see. We're good. We're good.
All right. Awesome. So with that,
The Dries video.
Let's enjoy, guys.
The Dries from constellation Cetus. This species has visited Earth around 20 times. They have 2 home planets, which are similar to Earth in chemical composition. They are known to have abducted at least 520 male and female humans for reproduction purposes in other planets. They have colonized 40 planets, and 10 of those were done by force. They do not interact with other alien species. They are to make their appearance on Earth in 2022.
the dries, they weren't so dried up. You saw them; they were stacked up with females.
They're kind of like the space pimp.
So the next one, I like the next one.
They're the George Clooney of aliens.
Oh, sweat. I kind of agree. It could be. So the next one is called the Lang,
The Lang.
and these are from the constellation. I believe it's called Cosme Berenices, right? The 6th star in the planet. They're small. They're 2 feet tall, and they can fly. The other thing is that they are, I think, the origin story for what we know as fairies.
Wow.
The only sad part about it is that they've abducted about 10 million people historically. So,
Wow.
yeah. I found this one really interesting because of the reports say like two alien species said that they abducted 10 million, but then someone in the uh someone in the Russian government said that they weren't.
They they
That never happened. So how would someone in government know that that never happened, right?
well, that what I was doubting is that if they're so small, how do they, right, kidnap someone?
So here's the thing. First of all, they're the first species to ever touch Earth.
Okay.
All right, based on the documentation, they're the first alien species to visit Earth. Number two, what do we know about fairies in fairy tales?
They're well, Peter Pan had Tinkerbell.
Right. So
And Tinkerbell was always around, right?
yeah, and she had magical what?
Powers,
Such as fairy dust.
fairy dust.
And what did fairy dust make you do? Go to sleep.
And not even that. When you think about it, have you ever heard about that Peter Pan version that he's was the bad and Captain Hook was the good guy?
I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because then we're
And-
talking about stuff that's owned by somebody else. But
Yeah, no, I know, but when you think about it, they used to kidnap people, kids.
so you remember our segment on duendes?
Yeah.
Fairies are part of that.
Wow.
And I recall saying that everything you see in fairy tales is not what they depict it as.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things.
Gotcha.
Fairies were depicted as really nice, cute little creatures that
Mhm.
helped you, but in reality, they were very,
Evil.
very evil,
Wow.
right? So this 10 million abduction thing becomes more believable when you read
Makes
something
sense.
like the Grimm's fairy tales and stuff like that. So, I like this one because it kind of confirms my suspicion
Mm-hmm.
that what you see on TV and what you know about it is not what it is. So yeah, that's my thought on the situation with the Lang, not the fairy, with the Lang. So how could they do it? Well, let's pretend that we're the Lang, right? And there's a human there, and we need to abduct it. Well, if we use the idea, right,
Mm-hmm.
of what fairy tales predict they can do on TV, well, I would sprinkle magic fairy dust, knock them out to sleep,
And then
and
grab 'em.
then use the other magic power to make them fly. Because how did all the kids fly?
Yeah.
Fairy dust.
Fairy dust.
We have the fairy dust. So there you
You're
have
right.
it. So
You're right.
this thing is like very, very, like it's almost well woven into the real.
And they're also aliens. So if they made it here to this planet, they probably have technology that
And they were the first.
exactly. So
It doesn't mean the best, but they've been here longer than most people historically.
gotcha.
So they might know something we don't.
Mhm.
And there's also videos on YouTube, and I think we showed a couple of them on the paranormal videos.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that there was a fairy that was roaming around. And
Yeah.
they didn't look cute. It didn't look anything like a regular fairy was described. It looked more alien in nature. So I like this one. I believe this one. I'm sorry that this alien looks like Beyonce, but but yeah, that's not her. This is just an alien reproduced through AI.
It looks more like Camila Cabello.
It's possible, but yeah, I liked it all in all. So why don't you tell people in Spanish? How do you say fairies in Spanish?
Alas.
Alas.
Yeah.
Wow. All right,
Alas.
so go ahead and take over.
Okay. Let me. I got some stuff here in English. I'll read it first, then I'll translate.
Sure.
He said Langa. It's a small PC growing only 17 centimeters. They come from the 6-star in constellation Coma Berenice. They have 3 home planets, maybe 4 and a half, colonized at least 10. They were one of the first races to visit Earth. They were the race that started the stories about fairies. 2 alien races claim that they have abducted over 10 million humans through history. That number is highly disputed by the other 2 races. They state that the number is much lower, and one race even made a statement to a Russian president saying that the race Lang has been abducted, has ever abducted any human. Last sighted in New Zealand in 2006, a group of 20 members. Wow. So I'm gonna say in Spanish some stuff here, just to translate, guys. Voy a hablar en español aquí para traducir algunas partes. Dicen que la raza Lang de extraterrestre es una raza pequeña que mide 70 centímetros, 2 pies, son bien pequeñitos. Vienen del planeta Six Star, constelación Coma Berenice, y tienen 3 planetas hogares, quizás 4, y han colonizado más de 10 o 10. Dicen que fue la primera raza que visitó la Tierra. Y dice que fue la raza donde se originó las historias de las hadas madrinas, o las hadas, como Tinkerbell en Peter Pan. 2 razas alienígenas aclaman que ellos han secuestrado más de 10 millones de humanos a través de la historia. Y ese nombre se dispute con otras razas que dicen que eso no ha sido verdad, que el número es mucho menos. Y uno de esas razas le dijo a los presidentes de Rusia que había sido menos, que no era así. Y la última vez que se vieron en New Zealand en el 2006, un grupo como de 20 de ellos mismos. Muy interesante, muy interesante.
So yeah, the Lang.
The Lang. Es como una mezcla entre,
So when 20 of them showed up, right? You know what they call that?
bueno,
The Lang Gang.
The Lang.
So I just saw that and I just realized it made perfect sense to call them that.
You know how is their handshake, their salute is like
That's it, yeah.
the fairy dust.
That's it. So yeah, so let's get on to the video. I like this one. I think it's a little bit believable considering that this fairy tale lore behind it, right? And you know my sentiments about a sliver of truth in every story.
Yeah,
So yeah. So this one,
it makes
yes.
sense. It makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to fly with the Lang Gang. Lang Gang. Kong, kong, kong.
All right, let's go.
The Lang.
Hang, 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 hang. Prrra, la ganga de los Lang.
All right, folks, the Lang.
The Lang, from the constellation Coma Berenices. They have 3 home planets and have colonized 10. This species is small in stature, but are considered to be the origin story of what we know today as the fairies. They are the very first race of aliens that have visited Earth. Rumor has it, this species has abducted more than 10 million humans throughout history. This has been disputed. Their allegiance is unknown. They were last seen in New Zealand in 2006 with a group of 20 of them.
All right, so that ends our In Search of Aliens.
Was a very interesting videos and a documentary about aliens. Very, very 2 different races, and they're very like different from the other ones. That's how
Right.
we have talked about.
Yeah, I mean, you got a gang.
And a loner. You got a gang and people, another race that is their loners.
A pimp and a gang. Look at that.
Great.
But yeah, I thought these aliens this season were awesome to experiment with. Just so you guys know, a lot of the stuff that we create, we gather that information from the notes we've taken in the books and stuff. But we use some of our creativity, right? So a lot of it is what's in our imagination based on the resources and the descriptions that are there. So we hope we did it some justice and that it was enjoyable for you all. Um, so now we get to the fun stuff. Paranormal segment.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's get to it. All right, folks. Here we are in the paranormal segment where we get to review videos that we collected from
The interweb.
The interwebs. Hey, you like that, huh? I actually got that from someone else. So it's not mine. I'm not claiming it. I got from the interwebs, i.e., social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we will look for it. And if we find it and we deem it interesting, we share it with you. So we got 4 videos. I will tell you that 2 of them are interesting. One is not so creepy or anything, but it was interesting because of the comment the gentleman said after the video played, right? Which is the last video. And then there's another video that kind of touches on the missing 411. Remember I told you about a missing child that was found? So we found the video.
Oh, wow.
So we'll play that later on. But let's start with the first video. But before we begin, why don't you tell them what paranormal is?
Paranormal stuff are stuff that are not normal or stuff that are out of normal.
Out of normal range.
That's our definition here.
Abnormal, not normal.
Abnormal, not normal, or out of normal.
There you go.
You see?
How much easier can it get, right?
Sí. But I'm gonna see if I can translate.
Yeah.
Okay. Estamos definiendo lo que es paranormal. Es algo que no es normal, que es fuera de lo normal o que es abnormal. Wow.
Yeah. So let's look at the first video. All right, let's go. First video and.
Иду домой, начесал пол первого. Но я же хрупкую девушку. Я же такая беззащитная. Ай, тут сзади. Блин, как мне страшно. На самом деле я жду, чтобы ко мне кто-то подошел. Потому что бояться буду не я. Бояться будут меня. И моя жажда мести не оставит этот город. Ну что, маньяки, вы готовы поиграть со мной?
All right, so let's talk about it for a second. I'm just gonna play the video real quick. So this first one is of a woman who was looking. I think that she's speaking Russian, if I'm correct. But basically, she's walking and she sees a guy, and the guy's not paying her attention. She was hoping that he would because she wanted to lure him. So I saw the other video that had the actual translation, and basically her voice changes into something like a possession, demonic, in nature, and she's speaking in that tongue. This one freaked me out because her facial gestures, the way she's talking. If this is acted, this is really well played out. But if it isn't, oh, sweat! Like, not the kind of person you want to run into if you're single. I'm just saying, you know?
Yeah, scary.
So, yeah, she appears possessed, and the way she's talking and moving, and it's very creepy, and it I think it freaked us all out, right? The second section of the video and the third one talks about this new thing that's coming out, and let's go to it. I'm just scrolling here so I can get the right. So there's this legend in Serbia called the Serbian dancing woman, right? And this became a trending thing. I don't know if it's real, but it is creepy,
It is.
right? There's a woman dancing from side to side, and if you stay staring at her and she stops and looks at you, she's going to chase you wherever you go, and she will unalive you.
Wow.
And she will not stop till she unalives you. That's the legend behind this. So
when
what you
say,
saw was what you saw was an example of a woman dancing in the Serbian dance, and she looks, and that's it. And then and this could be somebody just fooling around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this has been very popular.
Yeah, but her
And-
face is weird.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if it's all believable, right?
Mhm.
So this one is the same kind of idea, but the lady is standing in front of a door.
Okay.
So she's trying to get in the door for reasons we don't understand, but then she spots that the guy's looking and she just stays there. There's tons of videos on the Serbian dancing lady. It's actually a trending thing on the interwebs. So feel free to look at them. There's tons of them. Do I believe in the Serbian dancing lady? No. I think sometimes we create our own things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not find any lore pertaining to this. But again, anything that's ever been imagined or created must first be imagined.
Imagine.
This could be the result of somebody in the future behaving that way and actually living up to the name.
Maybe that person in the door was trying to get the victim,
It's possible,
and the victim would not let it go inside.
right? So
Could be.
that's it for that first ghost video. Anybody in the comments?
We got a Corali says, was there something behind her in a white dress?
Which one? The Serbian dancing lady,
You mean the Serbian? Which one?
or the
Corali?
very first one when the girl's possessed? The guy passes by. I think that's where the possession starts. So let's look at it.
На самом деле я жду, чтобы ко мне кто-то подошел. Потому что бояться буду не я. Бояться будут меня. И моя жажда мести не оставит этот город. Ну что, маньяки, вы готовы поиграть со мной?
No. No, there isn't. I
No.
didn't see one coral. All right, so let's go to video 2. Oh, and the hellhound barks. So, all right, so let's look at video 2.
Keep asking about what happened. Riker, do you remember when you got lost? What do you see?
Pero lo encontraron con ropa diferente a la que traía cuando se perdió.
He was last seen on Friday playing with his dad.
All right, so that particular video was from what we were talking about in 2 episodes ago. We were talking about the missing, right? The missing 411.
Missing for one.
And I had mentioned a story about a child who ended up missing, and they found him under weird circumstances, and the kid looked different. So that kid's name is Riker, and that video was from the Enigma TikTok channel, and I saw it and I said, "Oh, I got to share this with the people because this is what people experience, irrespective of age or height or whatever, when they're end up missing, unexplainably, and they end up being found um afterwards. They're just not the same.
They have that 100 yard stare thing.
We call it shell shock.
Shells, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, that was an interesting piece. I mean, and just look at this. I'm just gonna play the video and pause it. But if you look at this is a section here where they show the kid. Trying to find the image. Like, that's the kid being interviewed years later. I mean, look at his face. Like, he's not the same.
He's very pale. So
I mean, the kid is gonna be like that. It's more of a look at those eyes.
they're like very wide open.
It's sad that the child had to experience that, but this has become an ongoing thing, a repeatable thing, and it's paranormal because it's not normal, right? You don't see people all the time come around with this kind of stuff.
No, but did they ever, when they interview the kid, did they ever found something? Or
I've been looking for footage under the conversation with the kid,
Mhm.
with the kid named Riker, as you can see. But essentially, he does speak onto these things, and not a lot could be found.
wow.
So yeah, it's one of those things about the national parks and forests. It's one of those mysteries that needs to still be uncovered. And
Wow.
like I said, kudos to David Politis for taking it on. Right?
No, that guy
'Cause,
did a great
you
job
know,
with that.
he's amazing.
Mhm.
So the Enigma, UPSO Media, thank you so much for letting us see this and share it. So let's go on to the next video. So the next video takes place in India. Now, pay very close attention to the furthest, or not the furthest, but to the back left-hand side. All right, as you'll find something very interesting.
Oh.
It's a little. All right, so this one was really interesting, right? There's no you want so basically if you watch it, look how tall this guy is on the where you see the bushes, right? In relations to that woman
Very,
or
very
that
tiny.
thing. I'm saying woman, but it could be another small guy in an outfit or a woman, but
Could be a lang.
it could. She probably got the Lane gang hiding behind the bushes.
Behind the bush.
but this one was very interesting because you could tell the difference in scale.
And it's moving.
Yeah. And the fact that it's moving, it's shushing them like, get away, get away. Look, I mean, that's freaky.
Maybe the land gang wanted to do a carjacking.
So, I mean, it's really small.
It is. I got a message here in the chat from Yvette. It says, maybe it's not, that's from the video of the little kid. It says, maybe it's no longer him, an entity that's take over his body.
You know what, Yvette? That
Could be.
that has crossed my mind so many times. It reminds me of the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers, when an alien race comes in and they duplicate themselves and,
Yeah.
and take over the body, basically. Um, that kind of struck me.
That was the
Yeah.
one that was like in a military base. They arrive at a military base, something like
No,
that.
this one is with Donald Sutherland.
Okay.
That's rest in peace. He passed away this year. Donald Sutherland.
His family of Keith Sutherland.
Yep, he's father of Kiefer
Okay.
Sutherland. So yeah, I kind of feel the same. I share the same sentiment you do, Yvette. I think that this is one of those situations where they either came back and they became a host to some alien parasite type thing. That's what crossed my mind.
Could be.
Or they or literally that they're not who they say they are. Or the third option is that they truly are in shock and it's something that alters their appearance. There are people who see something that's so shocking that literally their physical appearance changes over time. So that is possible.
That's why I look like I look.
What do you look like? Not a lang.
So many things growing up.
But yeah, so this one is very interesting. I like this one in particular, but Yvette, yes, you are correct. So now let's look at the next video. And this one is funny in a way. Do I believe it? No, but it did raise an eyebrow because it's what I would expect to happen if it was true.
Look, I'm American. I think I'll use my credit card.
You know something I was thinking about? What if that's a real alien, bro? In plain sight. What if that's a freaking alien in real life, bro? Think about that.
So yeah. I'm not going to answer that question or say any comments or anything. Just food for thought.
I just want to say that if it's a makeup, it looks real. And if it's not a makeup, it's an alien.
Well, I mean, what other choice would you have?
Right.
You wouldn't have much of a choice. If it is, then it becomes very socially acceptable. And yeah. Anything on the chat?
No, we're good.
All right. So that ends our paranormal segment. It's been kind of quiet today.
I like that guy has the Naruto.
Oh yeah, I mean, kudos to him, right? Like he's a fan of no, not Sharingan. It's the other clan. That's the Uchicha. But yeah, we're in group scene right now, so let's just talk about everything so far. So, how many paranormal videos we reviewed?
We reviewed 3 paranormal videos, right?
In some cases, but in some cases we reviewed 5, and in other cases we would review one that has like 5 videos in it.
Yeah.
So, I think it's been a good segue to review a couple of these things. People like reviewing these videos.
They were all interesting. I like them, especially the last one. Kind of it make you think stuff after what we discussed here about that alien book, and all
Right.
this stuff, and then you see something like that. Maybe it's hard to know if it's.
You kind of look like this guy on the shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, food for thought. Food for thought. So now we're gonna move on to the fun stuff, right? Which is the stuff that we like to talk about, which is our headliner. We're gonna talk about something that people had asked about. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it very briefly. We're not gonna get into details because I want to make this part of a audio cast where we go into the deep dive. I think those are good. Which before we continue, this week Friday at 8 p.m. we're gonna do our Witches Origins audio cast. It may be both me and Frank. It may be me, or it may be me and Frank joining in on the call as we go over this segment. As some things do come up, and we sometimes cannot be
Control.
right. That's correct. So, with that, let's move on to our creepy segment where we talk about
Let me get the holy water I bring.
From San Agustin.
What happened to your voice?
I don't know.
All right, so let's go and let's do it. Voodoo reportedly started in the 17th century in Haiti. Voodoo was considered a religion that was used for healing the sick, helping the poor, curing various addictions, and addressing personal issues. The methods of correcting these issues was through the means of prayers, chants, dance, and music rituals. As the years gone by, the term voodoo has become synonymous with the dark and occult practices. Animal sacrifices, curses, and hexes bestowed on people for evil personal deeds. Summoning of evil deities to perform vile acts, and even the origin of what we know today, the zombie. What led to this change, and how it's evolving in other locations as New Orleans? Many questions need to be answered, so let's talk about it. All right, voodoo.
Voodoo.
So, of course, it originated in Haiti in the 17th century, used originally for benevolent practices. This was their form of medicine. Basically, they would go and perform healing rituals. You know how people would, "Oh, I want to have a child, I want to have a boy," and they would go and provide them with medicines and tonics that they would create, and they would say, "Here, do this 3 times a day, and take this once during the week at this time when the moon is this way, and you would have your baby boy," right? Or whatever the case may be. And when it comes to having children, there are some times where people needed healing, right? Or they're being possessed by a demon. You would reach out to a voodoo priest, and they would, do their rituals
Mm-hmm.
to exorcise that demon and help people move forward. Um, this practice has transformed, right? I remember being a kid. There was a movie called Serpent in the Rainbow, and it was one of these great movies that kind of talks about voodoo culture in Haiti, and basically it took like a darker form where it's more occultish, right? They deal with the dark arts. They do a lot of animal sacrifices, a lot of those traditions to either harm someone or to gain something from someone, right? That's where the whole like, I want to hurt you. I get a voodoo doll, put pins on it, I grab a strand of your hair, and next thing you know, you're feeling something,
Yeah.
right? So it has transcended and morphed so many times that it hasn't kind of caught a good name, right? Then you have New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So New Orleans kind of took it and it kind of indoctrinated that as part of their
Yeah.
culture. And I'm not saying recently, this has been a while ago. They do practice voodoo and something called hoodoo,
Yeah.
and they do some form of witchcraft. And it kind of falls in line, and that led to the question, like, well, how is it that something that started off so right ended up so wrong?
Well, the this thing originate from majority of Africa. So when the slave came here by people from Spain and all this stuff, the slave trade and all that, they were not allowed to practice their religion. They had a lot of pagan gods and stuff like that, and of course they were pagan for the Spaniards because they had their saints and the Catholic Church. They want to force them to to obey the Christianity and stuff like that. So when the slave they wanted to practice their religion but they were not allowed, they start asking permission to their people that were their owners and stuff in those big places where they have a lot of slaves, and they decide to, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna use their own saints from the Catholic Church, right? And we're gonna hide our pagan gods behind their saints.
Right.
So that way they will let us practice our religion, and because they're gonna think we're doing theirs, but it's ours.
So they kind of masked it in order for them to perform their,
Exactly.
I guess not perform, but to be able to follow their religion.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's what the Santeria is pretty much. Santeria, that's what Santeria is. Santeria is linked to voodoo. Even people know it's for good stuff, and yeah, you can do good stuff with Santeria, but you can also do very bad stuff.
But I think that applies to every religion, right?
Yeah.
Or every cult practice.
Every cult practice.
You know, there are
yeah.
good witches. There
Yeah.
are you know, for the sake of talking about things that are good and bad, right? You ever heard of energy vampires?
Yeah.
There are
they're good.
energy. There's supposedly there's this like vampire cult that they feed off of energy, not blood, and they look for negative energy because they feed off of negative energy to remove it from you.
Mhm.
Right? That's a good deed if you're helping someone remove negative energy. So it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
However, you know, voodoo in and of itself, it has been kind of like the taboo
Yeah.
thing. Like, oh, you gotta watch it. This
It
guy,
is. It is.
you know,
In Haiti is very big on that. Very, very big. That's everybody knows that, and I heard a lot of stories from that they turn people into animals. They
Right.
turn people into zombies.
so the crazy part is that Santo Domingo and Haiti are bordering countries, right? They kind of share the same landmass, but one half is Haiti and the other half is DR.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how that whole shapeshifting thing you spoke about in DR, they kind of refer to that as, if I'm correct, a galipote,
Gotcha.
right? And basically, they're saying that it's rooted on voodoo practices from Haiti. So there's a lot going on with this culture, this particular location, their cultural and religious ideals, right? And how it's perceived due to people who are negligible. I just found it really interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
very interesting.
Because it kind of gives you that perspective of like, you know, this could be any religion. This can be any practice. You know, it can easily turn dark really quick. I wish I would know more about the actual details, and I think when we do our origin story on this, because we will do an origin story on audiocast, I think it'll be good to find out like about the demons they summon, about their rituals and why they perform their rituals, because their rituals are interesting, right? They're not always about tonics and herbs and spices that they concoct or any sacrifices. Sometimes these are ritual dances, ritual songs. These are things that cannot be done alone, so they're done with a group of people who believe in this stuff. And it's all in all, it's not common everywhere else. This is very unique to voodoo, so I found it interesting.
I have heard a lot of stuff in Haiti that they're very interesting about the witch, kind of like similarity to the Olechusa stuff like
Right.
that, and they turn people into zombies, animals. They can just curse you, a lot of curses
And hexes.
and stuff like that.
So they put a lot of that stuff on you. So
Mhm.
yeah, and it's funny how you see how it's used in New Orleans, right? They have a lot of myth and lore behind this, and it's weird how in Haiti it's more male dominated,
Mhm.
and in New Orleans it's more female dominated,
Yeah.
right? Not to look at gender as the specifics, but sometimes the location makes for the story. They kind of switch up
Mhm.
the genders and things like that. But and what they've done, because the ones from New Orleans, they're crazy bad. Their stories are like wow. But yeah, anybody in the comments?
It says Noelia Otero. Oh man, I'm late. You're not late.
It's never too
Noelia.
late.
It's never too late. Nunca es tarde cuando la dicha es buena. So,
So yeah,
si
so
tienes alguna pregunta, puedes llamar o decirle y te podemos decir algunas cosas.
so yeah, there was some names that came up. One was called Papa Legba. Why don't we look up a couple of them and just real
Tienen a Changó, Oricha, todas esas cosas. Pero we can check.
look up Papa Legba.
Papa Legba.
Yeah. It's PABA. PAPA.
PAPA.
And in space.
All
like-
right here.
Yeah. So let's do some research on this real quick.
It says this god has many different names depending on the region in which is worshipped. It's most commonly known as Haiti as pagan Legba, Papa Legba, Papa Legba. Serve as the guardian of the Potomita, the center of power and support in the home. Additionally, he allows for communication between humans and the spirit world.
Hmm.
Wow.
So there's a lot of those spirits and spirit entities, right? That what do you got there?
Shango, also known as Shango or Sango, is a major deity and Orisha spirit in the Yoruba religion of southwestern Nigeria. He is the god of thunder, lightning, fire, justice, dance, and virality, and is said to have been a king of Oyo who was deified after death. Shango is also a royal ancestor of the Yoruba. He is considered one of their most powerful rulers.
So there's a lot of so for example for most religions there's only one true God, right?
Mhm.
It seems like voodoo relies on multiple gods.
Multiple gods,
Right? Or spirits.
like a pantheon of gods.
Right. So that's what it seems like in this case. Yeah. So this was going to make an interesting origin story, or perhaps a special where we have callers come in and we'll have a special guest. I did offer a special guest to join, so that's going to have to happen.
There's another one called Elegua. Is a powerful deity and Orisha in the region of Santeria, Winti, Umbanda, Kimbanda, Holy Infant of Atocha, and Candoble. Elegua is associated with rose protection, storms, and the sea. He is also known as the messenger between the worlds, a guardian of crossroad, and a trickster.
Hmm.
Elegua is often called upon the guidance, strength, and protection, and is also powerful divine healer.
Interesting.
Wow. So
yeah.
all these deity, that's what they put behind the saints.
Right.
So each saint represent one of these deities that they praise. So they did that way the slave owners will not know they were still praying to their gods.
And when you
using
say slave owners, you have mentioned the location where the slaves were. That's called a plantation.
plantation, there
Right,
you go.
so-
That's- yeah.
So yeah,
Exactly.
very prominent in the South.
Yeah.
In the early areas was
And the Caribbean too. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. All in all, I think that this is very real.
Mhm.
I've lived through it in terms of seeing people that did study the craft and knowing people that study the craft. On the good side, I've heard of the bad side of it. It makes for a very interesting, deeper discussion, a deep dive, right?
I got a comment here from Yvette says the saint in Santeria can translate to saints in Catholicism. Yes.
Yes, they can.
Yes, yeah, that's what they did. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
So
the story behind it.
So it's no different than us taking the Greek mythology and Roman mythology and say that they're two different things when in reality they were both the same,
Exactly.
right? What do we call Poseidon? In Rome,
Neptune. Right?
Neptune, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Mhm.
It was just redressed to suit the need of the empire at the time.
Exactly.
Because what you do is, and this is, by the way, historical fact. when an empire overthrows another, they tend to change the narrative to suit their needs and not keep anything historically the same. So we've seen this on various historical eras, right? The most prominent one, of course, is the Greek and Romans, right?
Yeah.
Because they were the ones to document the most of it. And the same thing is done in religion. You know, in religion, today we interpret things as one. Hundreds of years later, there'll be a new superpower, is what I'm going to call it, a new world, a new set of people, and their ideals will probably be the same, but their beliefs will change aesthetically, what they're looking at, and the stories will be skewed to fit that need.
That's why a lot of the old religions, they were not, they didn't believe in the monotheism.
Right.
They were just
They were polytheistic.
polytheistic.
So before I guess Jesus, right? A lot of the stuff that we saw or read about was about believing and deifying something, an animal, an object, and that object now has power, right? For example, the bull, right? In mythology, in the Greek mythology, you ended up getting what's called a minotaur. And it was in a labyrinth, and it was protecting the labyrinth, but the minotaur was a demigod.
Well, if you go to New York and you pass by the New York Stock Exchange,
what do you see?
There's a big bull over
The
there.
Merrill Lynch bull.
Exactly. So, man, there's still all this stuff, all these ancient gods and pagan gods, they're still being practiced today.
And not practice. I'm going to use the proper verbiage. They're still being revered in a different context.
Gotcha.
Why do we and what we use today? Here's the term. It's symbology.
Symbology.
You look at a bull. What does a bull represent? Power, right?
Power.
It represents dominance because it's what does a bull control? Female cows, right? And you kind of use the term bull because the bull goes in, sees red, and moves everything forward. It does not move backwards ever.
Exactly.
Right? So why would you use that like in Merrill Lynch? Well, it's a forward-moving business. It moves forward, right?
Lamborghini.
Right? Yeah. So what is a Mustang?
A horse.
So why do we have a Mustang on a car?
Because they got horsepower.
Horsepower. How much horsepower?
Could be 500.
See? So, and again, it's how we view things. It's a lot of it has to do with how the things that are placed in front of us are viewed. And we use it today as a symbolic reference, but back then these were things that were revered just as much as a god. It was literally deified. That's why when you go by, like, I love Mustang cars, right? So if I wanted when people tell me what's your car of choice, the Mustang, right? Or the Cobra, right?
There you go.
Right? And why do you do that? Well, I just laid reverence on it. I told you what's my car of choice, right? I could have easily said a Yugo. A lot of people don't know what a Yugo is, you know? But,
I know what a Yugo is.
Right? So with that, I think that you kind of nailed the head on the head. He was right.
Yeah.
But you still owe the Spanish audience an explanation about everything we just spoke, so help yourself to it.
Okay. Estamos hablando aquí un poco del vudú, de dónde se origina y dónde hoy día se centraliza. Se origina en África, pero se centraliza hoy día en Haití y en lo que es en Nueva Orleans, acá en Estados Unidos, lo que le dicen el French Quarter. No sé por qué también en Haití son French, ¿sabes? Era una colonia francesa.
Sí, ellos hablan francés.
Parece que tiene que ver algo con los franceses, I don't know.
So that's, the most universally used language is French.
Wow.
Yeah. Above all.
Comment allez-vous?
No, don't do that. It's not working.
Anyway, entonces estábamos entrando un poco en lo que se trata de dónde proviene el vudú, de cómo es que surge esto, cómo surge la santería que va de la mano con lo que es el vudú. y se origina en la época de la esclavitud, cuando trajeron los esclavos a las haciendas y entonces no se le prohibía a los esclavos eh, usar su religión, ¿no? Y que ellos traían sus dioses paganos del África y se le prohibía a ellos adorar a sus dioses. Y ellos fueron muy inteligentes y tuvieron una idea de ok, vamos a hacer lo siguiente, vamos a esconder nuestros deidades, nuestros dioses, detrás de los santos de la Iglesia Católica. Por eso de ahí viene la santería como tal, ¿me entiendes? Porque es usando los santos, pero en realidad detrás de cada santo hay una deidad pagana de lo que es el vudú africano. Y de ahí surge lo que es la santería, pero para los ojos de los capataces de las haciendas, ellos estaban yendo la cultura católica, ¿no? Ellos, para los dueños de los esclavos en las haciendas, ellos le dejaron adorar a sus dioses porque pensaban que estaban adorando a los dioses católicos, pero no era así, era los dioses de ellos escondidos detrás de los santos católicos. Y de ahí surge lo que es la santería y así que se riega por el mundo y llega a Nueva Orleans, llega aquí, llega allá. Y pues hay gente que lo usa para hacer cosas buenas. No estamos diciendo que los santeros son malos. Hay gente que lo usa para hacer cosas malas, como todo, ¿no? Existe el bien, existe el mal, existe gente buena, existe gente mala. ¿Me entiendes? Y es algo muy interesante.
Awesome. So that segues us from the creepy stuff. Yeah, I thought all in all, it was an interesting speaking piece,
Very interesting.
right? So at this point, we are done. We've done everything we could, to get everything up to date,
Oh, yeah.
right? Next week is episode 12.
Wow.
Final episode of the
Final
season.
season, right? Season finale.
Yeah. So just bear in mind that next week is our last episode. We're gonna change the structure a bit. We're gonna send polls on YouTube and TikTok. So you can go to the link and then do a poll. Pick your best cryptids, your best 2 cryptids, and your best 2 aliens
Mhm.
of the season, and then we'll represent them one more time, and then we have 3 shorts that we're gonna present that have never been presented, and these shorts are short movies. They're not short videos like we do for the aliens or the cryptids. The first one, as I mentioned before, was the oh my god, I just drew a blank. The Lost Fortune.
The Lost Fortune.
The second one is Moonbase Sea Part 1, Chapter 2. And then we have Little Jimmy's Terrifying Adventures. We're going to put that to a close, which is going to be episodes 4 and 5 combined, because there'll be like 2 or 3 minutes total
Gotcha.
for that. I'm thinking about putting audio on it just to give a little for the last 2 episodes.
Put some audio,
I
yeah.
think it'll be good. And yeah, all in all, it's been a great show today.
Beautiful.
Very calm. Very. Thank you to the participants in the chat. We didn't get any calls today, which is sad. Boo hoo.
You guys can still call. Last call. Last call.
Last call for calls. But yeah, I think it's a good way to segue
Yeah.
and say thank you once again. 100 subs on YouTube and TikTok. We need to do that on Instagram now.
So far, we have 102 now.
Yeah, 102.
Wow.
102 on YouTube, 103 on TikTok, 58 on Instagram. And by the way, these are goals that we set for ourselves before we started this whole thing. It was like, okay, if we could make this viable and make it something that's enjoyable by the people, then, viewership matters, but it also matters that we have people that are fans of the show, are loyal to the show. So we want to make sure that this is something palatable and that, people are going to support it and stand behind it. So once again, thank you. You're all awesome. And we are done.
We're done.
2 hours in almost.
Yeah. Very interesting program.
I agree. So with that, we hope you have an awesome week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Gracias por el apoyo.
Oh, one more thing before we say goodbye. Don't forget Friday, 8 o'clock, Witch Origins
Oh,
audiocast.
nice.
All right? Signing out. Take care,
guys.
folks.
Thank you. Gracias.